So today I was on TikTok and I saw the most egregious tier list of Valorant rankings ever. It was terrible, god awful. I think he was kind of rage baiting. So I went online and I went to look to see if there was actually any good tier list, and no one had anything for the new patch with the ISO buffs and the neon changes. So I wanted to make a tier list, put it together and put it out there because I didn't see anyone who had actually made an actual tier list. So this isn't going to be based off of solo queue or strictly pro play. It's going to be my ideas on why these characters are good and the situations that they are good, and then rank them. So I'm gonna rename some of these tiers here, and let's get started. All right, so we're back here. I got some of these tiers renamed. We got Harbor here. We're gonna start with Harbor. He's gonna go in bad for now. The reason that is because he is just so awful in solo queue. He's really hard to master to know exactly where you should be putting your walls and what maps you should play him. He's really good on Pearl. He can be really good on Icebox, but it's really not something you should play in solo queue. It's not something that's really strong, but he is really strong on those maps and pro play. So if there was a tier between mid and bad, which I just don't feel like putting right now and restarting the start of this video, but if there was, he would go there. But for the sheer lack of his competence in solo queue, he's pretty bad right now. I don't think he necessarily needs buffs, but his niches that he fills right now just aren't very strong. Next up, we have Chamber. Now, Chamber is someone who did recently get buffed, but I'm gonna explain why he's still really mid and he's not good and he's only situationally decent at best. And that's because of the ISO buffs. With him now being able to start a bubble before he goes into ult without needing a gunfight, he start off a bubble off the start and take an aggressive angle against an operator. The buff to his op and the buff to Chamber having the economy advantage to get an op so many times, it really does struggle against the ISO. And ISO's picked quite a lot in solo queue, and also in pro play, you're never really picking Chamber because there's always most better picks for the Sentinel position, unless you're like Cryo, and then maybe he's playable on like Bind, but even then, not so much nowadays. So he's definitely very mid. He's very situational, especially against ISO. Well, speaking of ISO, ISO I think is the best agent right now. He's the strongest in high elo. He's the strongest to play against, and he's the most annoying to play against right now. I'm a Jet main. I love opping on defense for free rounds, getting the free pick off the start, and he is just terrible to play against right now. He's very strong. He counters ops. He's really good at taking gunfights. He takes space very well by his wall and being able to have that advantage in that gunfight. And it's very easy to snowball rounds on him right now. It's very easy to start getting a lead and just start being able to use him, especially on high elo where eco rounds are winnable. You know, with a sheriff in your hand, like a 1v4. Like ISO is just very strong right now, and yeah, it's very hard to play against him at the moment. Now Phoenix is someone who's a bit iffy. I want to put him. I don't want to put him in great. He might belong there, but it's really hard for me to put him in great. He's very good in solo queue, and he can be very annoying, especially in very high elo, where you're holding correctly and you're playing, and you can play against flashes. But the thing is, you can't play against Phoenix. You can't play against Phoenix Flash very well, other than knowing it's coming. So it's a really big mind game of knowing when to not hold that angle and knowing when to play anti and having a teammate that can do that. But if you're playing against a really aggressive Phoenix who knows when to flash and when not to flash, it's very dangerous, and it's very easy for them to win rounds strictly off that. And his ult is always very good. It's very good at taking space. Everyone runs from it. It's very easy to take space and take those gunfights with your ult and not having to worry about dying. It's still very strong, but he's not good in pro play. He's never going to be good in pro play with his kit. It's very selfish. It's very strong at being selfish, but he's just not really good in pro play. But he is quite strong in solo queue, but it is playable around. I think he does need some kind of rework to maybe make him more playable in like VCT. But actually, just talking about it, I'll put him in great just because he's really good at solo queue. He's not good on every map, but he is one trickable to a point where you can definitely get some RR just by putting your Phoenix hours in. Now KO is a little bit different. I think KO is very situationally OP from watching VCT this year. He's very strong in a lot of comps and what he can get done. The information is great. His flashes are great and very versatile. His molly is very strong. It's one of the better mollies in the game. He's not hard to play. He's easy to play. You know, it's not like ISO where you kind of have to like master the timings and your abilities. You know, you can kind of just pick him up and watch some VODs and learn him really easily. and he can be very strong on a lot of maps. He's very strong on Icebox. He's very strong even on Ascent. They're playing him still. You know, he's just like he can be very strong a lot of times, and he counters everyone because you can get rid of their abilities. You know, he counters the ciphers that sit on site. You know, he's always very strong. He's in a very good spot right now, at least I think, with this map pool. It'll be excited to see how he does on Abyss. I don't think he's gonna be super strong on Abyss. I think someone like Gecko or Fade will be a little bit better, but a lot of people are running double initiator comps for a reason, and KO is definitely one of them. Now, Skye is interesting. She's gotten some nerfs lately, and her flashes aren't as strong as they used to be. It's very hard to be selfish with her, but she is still quite a strong initiator. I would say great, and above Phoenix, definitely. She's very versatile. I don't think she's situationally OP. I think that she is great, just very consistently good. She's very consistently good. She does her job. She does it well. She has a lot of great pairings with like Reyna and Yoru, and she's really strong in that manner. But it's kind of hard to say that like on any map specifically or with any team comp she is very broken. But she's very strong at what she tries to accomplish, and she does it very, very well. And I think that's enough to put her in great over good, and definitely over Phoenix. Now Viper, if this was pre like nerf Viper, always OP, play it on every map, all the time, constantly good. Molly's good, wall good, timing's good, ult's good, all of it's good. Her whole kit's awesome. It's very useful, very versatile, very great. You have lineups, you have wall smokes, you have orb smokes. You can take time, like very, very strong. After the nerfs, I'm gonna say she's still situationally OP. I know that 9 ult orbs is a lot for an ult, but it's still one of the best ults in the game. It's one of the best ults in the game. It's very hard to retake with it. It's very hard to entry on a site with it. Sometimes you even just have a singular Viper sitting in a pit on B on Icebox or B on Breeze, and it's just impossible to take. Like you could just sit her over there, and you just have to go mid or the other site, and you have to put pressure other places, and it kind of forces you play a different way. Which, in my opinion, if a agent is making you play a different way around them, that it makes them very strong. Even though she only has one Molly, it's still a good Molly, and the nine ult orbs and the reduction to how long her wall and orb can be up do hurt, but she's still very strong on most maps, and she's definitely a good go-to controller to learn if you're trying to reach a higher elo and you're trying to get that higher threshold of learning the game. Very strong agent. Now I'd say Cypher. Cypher is definitely situationally OP as well. I think he's a little bit below Viper right now, simply because KO and Yoru and like there's a bunch of agents that kind of can work around him. But the problem is that on maps like Sunset and maps that like Breeze, where your trips can really hold a lot of space and it makes it hard for them, and they have to kind of default a lot more. It makes him very strong. You have to do a lot to kind of get past him and work around him, and you end up using more utility to kind of flood him out than you actually would a lot of other of these characters that can stop floods. And so he's very, very annoying to deal with, and he's very, very strong. Now, the trips are as good as they used to be, but again, they're still very strong. Anyone who's ever come across a Cypher setup that you couldn't take sight with knows this. He's very strong. He's very hard to play against. I suggest to a lot of my friends who are lower elo, who are trying to climb a little bit, who just kind of want to stick to one agent that they can play on like almost every map and just climb. Like I almost always recommend Cypher. I'm always like, he's always going to be strong. You can always learn to do your job, and the gameplay is really consistent. So he's really easy to pick up right now and just kind of play a bunch and really get your RR. And another agent similar to that, in that same process, I want to throw up here is KJ. Now, KJ is also super, super strong on a very lot of like almost every map. There is a few maps that she kind of struggles on. She's not so good on Breeze. You definitely don't want to be playing KJ on Breeze. You want to be playing that Cypher. But she is overall really good, really, really broken. That's why putting her in situationally OP, maybe even over Cypher to that extent, where if she's able to do the job that she wants to do and she's able to play on a map that she's good at, she will be much stronger than Cypher. And if you know what you're doing, she can definitely be stronger than Cypher. You can see this in Benji Fishy picked up Killjoy to play in VCT, got to grand finals, amazing. He picked it up and he just played really well with it instead of the Cypher on that Lotus, and that helped him out a lot. And it showed very clear just how strong KJ still was even after all the nerfs she's received in the past few months. So I think I'm gonna put her over Cypher there, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now Riot for this next character, Neon. I think it's just going to get obliterated because she is very strong right now, and the double slide and the being accurate by sliding has very little to no counterplay to you just have to hold wide and just hit the shot or else she's going to kill you. It just strictly gives you a massive advantage in gunfights that is just not counterable. And like if like let's say you're on Haven and you're holding window, Neon just slides and she can shoot accurately. Zero point 0.2 seconds into it, she has her gun out and she's accurate. You can't counter that because you can't just always hold wide. Because what if they just swing and they don't slide, and then you're at a disadvantage in the gunfight, and it forces you to play in a really annoying way where you just have to give up certain peaks and you have to give up certain space because you know that if you try to hold that space without certain utility, that is just a terrible gunfight that you are just more likely than not going to lose and give up that space regardless, except for the difference being you're dead. So it makes her very annoying. She's very strong to deal with right now. Two slides, very annoying. Is she stronger than ISO? I would say maybe if you're playing against a really, really high elo Neon who knows exactly what she's doing and who will track your head while she's sliding, it's very difficult and you have to give up a lot of space to her, and she's still really good at entering, and her concuss is really annoying. So for that reason, she's definitely one of the best duelists right now, and she's very strong, and I think she will be strong unless they gut her. Even if they reduce her kit by a little bit or make her less accurate, I think that's a really good start. But right now, they're not giving her a really good identity. They're just kind of making her good instead of giving her a good identity, and I just don't think that's really healthy for the game. I hope that they kind of got her soon because she's really fucking annoying, I must say. Um, Deadlock. Now, Deadlock is a controversial take. A lot of people think Deadlock is really bad and even worse than Chamber. She's definitely not. She's very strong right now. If you watch a lot of pro players streaming right now, a lot of them love playing Deadlock now, and a lot of them do play Deadlock on a lot of maps like Lotus and Ascent, and they just really enjoy it. It's very good. Now, she can be very strong sometimes from stopping sights, but the problem is that she does have a lot of weaknesses. Now, I think that if you're going to run a double Sentinel comp, like you want a Cypher or a Killjoy, and you want to run two Sentinels, that you shouldn't combo Killjoy and Cypher together. You should combo one of them with Deadlock, and I feel like that's a lot stronger. She stops floods very heavily. Her wall is still very strong, even though it doesn't take as many bullets as it used to. It's still very strong, and if you know the spots to put them, she can still hold very strong. So if you're trying to run a double Sentinel comp on a map like maybe like Icebox, where you want some versatility in the way you can hold and you kind of stop the rushing, Deadlock can be very strong and very useful for that. Now, Sage, I think, is very mid right now. And the reason I say that is because in VCT she's only really playable on Icebox, and sometimes where Paper X did run this comp. Well, hi baby, my cat just meowed. Where she was played sometimes. As I was saying, she can only really be played on Sunset and Icebox, and that's about it. She gets played on Icebox a little bit because the comp where I mean the point of Icebox is utility versus utility on that B bomb site, really trying to get the bomb down and trying to bait out utility and take those fights. It's very strong to have her wall in that situation, especially if you're defaulting well and they don't know whether or not you're ending B or A. She can be really strong. Just put that wall down and get the plant down, and then their utility to spam is useless. Same reason why Gecko is also very strong on Icebox. So Sage, other than Icebox, she can be played on Lotus. Paper X did it, and it looked alright. I believe they did beat Gen G on Sunset with that map pick. So, I mean, again, she's kind of mid. She's not good. In solo queue, she's not very strong. I mean, she's playable on Icebox again. I did play her on Icebox the other day, and it felt like good, but it didn't really feel super clean. And maybe that's because I need to work on my Sage, but I don't feel like she's as good as Deadlock is on as many maps right now. So that's why I'm putting her at mid. Now, I think Raze is still great after, and I maybe even situationally OP. She's still a really versatile champion. I think she's still better than most of the duelists, other than ISO Neon. I would even say she's still better than Jet, but that's very situational. I would put Jet right next to her. I think definitely before the nerfs, she was clearly the stronger agent, where she was almost always OP. She was ran on almost every single map constantly and had constant value. I think I'm gonna put her in situationally OP actually. Not stronger than the other characters there, but definitely stronger than Phoenix and Sky. The problem is that she's great at taking space, and her utility is just very good for a duelist. It's very strong. It clears out a lot of areas. It can be comboed very well with other agents such as Fade, such as Gecko, such as Omen. Like the blind and the nade raise is a classic combo with the C's. Like it's very strong, especially on maps like Lotus. Especially on maps like even on like don't play it on Icebox. Please don't play it on Icebox. But even on Sunset, it's still very strong character. She's not like you know her for Split. Like she's really good. She's not good on every map right now, but I think she's still very strong and maybe deserves that spot in situationally OP, where she just kind of, if you know how to play her and you're playing her on the right map, she can be very, very annoying to play against and very strong. But just not quite as strong as KO Viper, KJ, or Cypher are. So now we have Fade. I think Fade right now is at a weird spot where everyone plays her and they play her on almost every map, and she's playable on almost every map. Um, this is a hard place to put her. I think I'm gonna definitely put her over KO and Viper. I don't think she's always OP. Again, because her VCT pick rate, they didn't change her, and her VCT pick rate was very high. But I think she's just simply more versatile. I don't think she's quite on the level of ISO and Neon from the last patch, where they just buffed her and him, and they've just been very strong. But she is quite strong. I think she was one of the best agents from VCT. I think she's not super easy to play, but once you pick her up and you put her in her arsenal for solo queue, it can be very annoying to deal with the lineups and the C setups and the combining it with other agents. Like it's very strong and it's very annoying to play against. When you're playing against a good Fade, you really feel the pressure that she adds to the map, and you really feel the annoyance when you're being ulted while the team is entering and you can't hear, and you're being chased by a dog and your teammates are calming random stuff, and it's really hectic and it's really annoying to play against, and it's very easy to win rounds with her utility. So for that reason, I'm gonna put her above KO. Now I saw a tier list. That's the reason why I wanted to do this. I am just getting my start on content creation and streaming and things like that. My Twitch will be down in the description below if you like how I talk or how I play. If you want to come check me out. I saw this tier list, shameless plug, and Yoru was down in D tier, and I was like throwing up in my. I was like. Quite frankly, I was flabbergasted because why the hell is he down there? If you know how to play Yoru, he's one of the best agents in the game. He has one of the best flashes in the game. He has the best utility. He's able to throw off. And the reason why he's so good, especially in higher elos, is actually I'm going to put Raze in the top of great, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm sorry if I offended anyone earlier who saw me put Raze in situational OP after the nerfs and were like, how the fuck did this guy just put her up here? I'm clicking away from the video. I changed my mind. Come back. I love you. Yoru, it's really hard to play against. It's really annoying to play against. The playstyle is really annoying to play against. If you learn the game for a long time, you watch a lot of VODs, you play the game, you understand the game, you understand how the game works. Yoru just says, fuck you. I don't care that you know how the game is played. I don't care that you can count enemies and know exactly what hits look like and be able to identify defaults. I'm going to shove my dick up your ass and TP to the other site and fake you out completely. And also, did you want to like set a trap play? Too bad, I have Yoru ult, so until I use that, you're not allowed to, because I can find everything on site, pick you off, throw flashes, point you out for my team, and win any attack round just simply off my ultimate. Because fuck you, that's why. He's so fucking annoying to deal with. He's really strong, he can be really strong. The problem is he's not always OP. I think he's up there with KO and Fade, definitely above Viper and KJ. Let me reorganize this a little bit. I think Viper is maybe belonging in that list. It's kind of hard to put them in order because they're all kind of very strong when they need to be, and if you know how to play them. But yeah, Yoru just does not give a fuck about what you know. He doesn't give a fuck about what you know about the game. He does not care. He throws a wrench and all of that, and he's just really annoying to play against, especially on defense. And he's annoying to play against on attack too, because you can just stack sites for free. You just always have an extra body. Haven's a little bit different, but you just like. You could always just go A, send your TP over to B. If they flood out really fast and take site, you're there. If you need to get out and play retake, you can TP away. If they're going to the other site, you can TP away. It's just very strong. It's really annoying. His ult's really good. His utility is really good. People who know how to play him are really annoying to get, play against. That's strictly it. Sova's hard to kind of judge because he just doesn't get too much playtime. He's really good. A lot of people who play him in solo queue, kind of who know their stuff, are really fun to play against, and you're just constantly getting pings. He's really good on Ascent. He's kind of strong on Haven. He can be good on Icebox, but I think a lot of teams are realizing they much prefer the Gecko comboed with Fade or KO, and he's not getting as much playtime as maybe Icebox did back in the day before Gecko and Fade were here. But Sova can be very strong. He's very great. I'd say he's above Phoenix. To say he's above Sky right now, maybe. I'd say he's above Sky right now, maybe after the Flash Nurse, where it's like they're different characters and what they're trying to accomplish as initiators is different. But the info gathering of Sova is just very strong and it always will be strong, and he's one of the best info gatherers in the game. So to put him anything other than great is kind of just not warranted. Um, Sova, I probably know the least about, like lineup wise and knowledge wise and in depth wise, but he still seems to be very strong even when he's not the best initiator right now. I just think initiators as a whole is a great role. It's a great role to pick up. It's a great role to learn, and they're all very strong. The double initiator retake comp is very strong on almost every map. Almost every map, you're running almost two controllers, two initiators. You're picking one or the other, and the double initiator retake meta is very strong. You saw it on Sunset. It's very strong. Even on maps like Breeze, where there's a lot of space and a lot of info to be gathered, you're seeing double initiator comps. So Sova, you can't really put him below great. I think it would be kind of hard to argue for that. Astro's kind of mid right now. Better than Chamber or Sage, I think. I think Sage is better than Chamber, by the way. Um, Maybe even good, I'd actually say. Because she's played him more in VCT than Deadlock. I don't know why I put her there, to be honest, other than she's just kind of bad at solo queue and has very few select maps. But I guess arguing that it's more maps than Deadlock is super strong on by herself, so I guess the Deadlock does need that combo, but I think the Astro is definitely worse than both of them. She's not in a great spot right now. She's terrible in solo queue because she takes way too much teamwork to really rely on your teammates to do really well. I've had a lot of really good Astro games in solo queue where I felt big brained and I felt like I calmed super well, but the amount of effort you need to put into the value you get out of her is not really redeeming. It doesn't feel very great to play her, other than it feels good to play a really high skill ceiling agent, where Astra has a lot of high ceiling to be able to work with your teammates and do amazing things and be able to control a lot of space, and her wall is very strong. But to learn as much as you can about it and to play it and how much it takes to actually learn it, the value that you get out of it does seem very diminishing. Now, Jet I think is great. Better than Sova, Sky, or Phoenix. She's always going to be good. Her dash is always strong. Her knives are the best, one of the best ults in the game. Not the best because it does rely on you being able to hit your shots, but it's very, very strong. Being able to take these fights with insane movement, and if you click their head, you click their head and they're dead, is very strong. The space that she's able to take so fast is very good, and especially with these raise nerfs, she's much more viable now. It feels less bad to pick her. Even though Clove and Reyna are still very strong right now, like Reyna is good and Clove is good and she gets the heal, and she kind of feels a little outdated with her smokes not being as good, but again, she's very strong at what she needs to do. She's very fun to play. She's very easy to learn. You can watch a lot of VODs, like Woot is very good. I mean, obviously Zekken's very good. You can watch a lot of these routings and pick it up really easily, how to play aggressive and confident, and really learn how to like gain some space and win your RR with her. You know, it's a very simple plan. It's very good. It's very strong. You know, when you play against a good Jet, you know how it feels. It sucks. So it's just how it is. Now, Breach is situationally OP for sure. I think he's maybe towards the bottom of it because he's a little bit more situational than the rest, but his utility is some of the best in the game. Again, I think it relies a little bit too much on teamwork, but his capability to retake and calm, especially in high elo, Breach is very strong. Like I would say plat below, he's very hard to kind of work with your teammates with. When your teammates are still learning to look at their minimap and they're still learning to be aware of surroundings and their callouts, for you to be like, stunning default, go, now throw your nade, and like just kind of combine things with it and just kind of calm to your teammates. It can be very strong, but in lower elos it's not as strong. And in VCT he was only really played on Sunset. So I mean, to say he's like always OP is strong, but I think he's better than the agents in Great. I just think he needs a little bit too much for you to really get a value. Again, like the same case with Astra, except for his utility is just simply much stronger. Now next up we have Brimstone, and for the sake of not trying to make this video too long, and for everyone skipping ahead to see what I put Gecko, Reyna, and Clove, because they don't care about Brimstone and Omen, Brimstone is good. He's better than them. He's not great right now. He's one of the worst controllers for sure because a lot of the controllers right now do feel kind of strong. I mean, other than Astra, just Clove and Omen are very good in solo queue right now, and Viper's always good. So it kind of feels hard for him right now. The buff to his smoke size did help a little bit. It doesn't make him any more playable than the rest of the controller. Kill myself. Doesn't make him better than the rest of the other controllers, so it's just kind of he's just not great right now. He has his maps, he has his strengths, but being limited to only 3 smokes the entire round kind of does suck when you're playing Omen and you're playing Viper and you have the ability to kind of put your smokes up again as you go and continue defaulting. It does feel very rough. I think he was very good on Fracture, but Fracture not being in the pool right now, it just hurt him a little bit, and he's good, but he's just not very strong right now. Now Omen, I think, is completely busted. Super OP, super strong, best blind in the game, really good utility. Rechargeable smokes, being able to place one way so easily, being able to get 3 to 4 smokes guaranteed throughout the round if you're playing it right. You know, it's very strong to have Omen. The TP is very good. It's very good on Lotus, very good on Sunset. It's very strong, very good in solo queue. His kit is simple. It's easy to use. You can learn it. There's some nuances to it, yes, but other than that, he's really broken on a lot of maps, and I think he's really easy to pick up and play. And so if you are like a controller main is looking to play that smokes role, maybe try to learn it a little bit. Omen is definitely one of the first picks I would try and recommend you gravitate to, especially before someone like Astra or Harbor. Brim is obviously like the clear like easiest to play, but Omen is definitely up there if you want to kind of learn something new and learn some new stuff and just have and it's just always going to be strong to have in your composition. Gecko is busted, best character in the game right now, other than ISO and Neon. Maybe better than Neon. Really good right now. Being able to plant, really good for clutches, really good for places like Icebox, where again, everyone's spamming utility to stop you get the plant down, where that's like kind of the mind battle is on a lot of those maps, whereas can you stop the plant from getting down? No. Can you retake? Gecko does both extremely well. So that's why he excels on maps like Sunset, on Lotus, on Icebox. He's very good, very strong on a lot of maps. He's not super hard to play. He's kind of easy to get the hang of, and once you pick him up, he's really fun to play. His ult's really good. His ult's really strong. And it's just kind of hard to put him anywhere else other than OP right now. I mean, his Molly isn't even one of the best in the games, and they nerfed it into the ground, and it's still very good at controlling space and getting that chip damage in. And it's really annoying to deal with Gecko post plant, and it's really easy for him to plant. So that does make him a very deadly combo to deal with, especially in solo queue and in pro play. So for that reason, I think he's one of the second best characters in the game right now. Reyna, I think Reyna is the top of great. I think she's one of the better duelists right now of the traditional duelists of Jet, Raze, and Reyna that get locked in most of the time. She's definitely very strong. Her Dismiss and her Empress lasting forever was a great buff. It was needed. I would like to see maybe an ult orb added to it to make it a little bit more less guaranteed, you know. But like you're pretty much taking fights always as Reyna, so you had a guaranteed 2 rounds in the first half where you have Empress last the whole round. It's very strong ult. It feels nice now. The movement speed increase. I like that rework. It makes her feel a little bit more viable, where it's like, you know, it's a lot harder to tell where you're going, and you get to choose that very quickly, and it has a little bit more skill expression. And her blinds, remember, are still infinitely long, so they counter the ops very well. And so she could just be really strong sometimes, and you know it when you feel against this, when you're playing against a smurfing Reyna, you're playing against a good Reyna. It feels annoying, and it feels strong. It's really hard to counter sometimes, and yeah, I think she's just in a great spot right now, honestly. Okay, Clove is not OP or situationally OP. She's just very good. She's just very good at what she does. She's very great. She does her job well. She smokes. She gets to smoke after she dies. Actually, I'm gonna put her in situationally OP because she can smoke after she dies. That's actually I didn't even like. It's very strong. She has a heal. They nerfed it a little bit, but she's able to take fights as a smokes player, and you don't really get punished as much for it. I mean, if unless you're getting like unless you're pushing up and you're getting killed on a site where they can just end the other site and you don't have your smokes. But again, you wouldn't have that even if you're playing another smokes character. So you even have regular smokes while you're dead only on one side of the map anyways is a plus. So like it's very strong. It's very nice to be able to have some versatility in the smokes role. She was a great addition to the game. Her her combo with her Q with like mollies and nades is very strong. Her smokes are very good. They replenish over time. Being able to place them after you die, and her ult is very good for retakes. It's very strong where you can kind of just bait someone and know that you can bait them. It's kind of like a Phoenix ult, you know, where you get a free comeback out and then you're combining with all this utility. It can feel very overwhelming to play against, and it can be very annoying to play against. Yeah, that's the tier list. I'm gonna rearrange some things here and maybe look at some like comparisons. You know, I'm just kind of blindly putting them in the ranks based off of the wording of the ranks and how I feel they fit into that. So let me put some orders in detail so I get a good thumbnail, you know. So this is where I think the order is correct. I think that this is a pretty good list. I think this kind of sums up kind of what area each agent is, and if you just give this a glance, you can kind of look at the agents that you might want to pick up that are strong right now. Again, Viper's not in the greatest spot right now, but she's still very strong, especially in pro play. This isn't a specific tier list for VCT versus like solo queue or something like that, or if you're playing with your teammates, this isn't like a duo tier list. This is just kind of me getting my thoughts out there on what's strong and what's not. And if you disagree, leave a comment down below. Otherwise, subscribe if you like the video. I'll see you next time.